Skye Squad, we are back in the building for the Ponderosa of all Ponderosas. We have got the Carlos King in the building today. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let y'all know we gonna get right into this thing right here because I got a whole lot of questions and Carlos got a whole lot of answers. So without further ado, y'all, welcome Carlos King to the show.
Hi, Richie.
Hey, Carlos. I hope you ready.
I'm more ready. You already know how I get down.
I know. So let's get this thing started. I want to ask you, how long did it take to film season 3?
Oh my gosh. I want to say maybe 3 months.
Okay.
3 months. I think 3. You know what's so funny? I may be lying to you. I'll be honest. This show is always on.
Okay, so it's kind of continuous.
It's a continuation. So I would say maybe up until like for one season, it takes 3 months. I think we did 2 in 1, so it was 6, something like that. I lost count, child.
What's the standard? What's the standard amount of time that it would normally take?
For any reality show, it can take between 3 to 4 months to complete a season. Yeah. Especially when you have a lot of episode orders and a reunion. When you factor all of those elements in, I would say up to 4 months. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna wait to ask this question, but since we talked about episode orders in a season, I gotta ask you, what was on thinking with episode 17? And you know exactly what episode I'm talking about.
No, I don't. Tell me which one is 17.
The Melody and Martell of it all. Yeah, it was a recap of all of them. You know, we was all mad that night.
It's funny. I was talking to the executives at yesterday. We had a meeting about something else, and they brought up that episode. And they all laughed and said, "Oh, honey, the audience really read you for stuff." I said, "I know. When they're not happy, they read me as if it's my responsibility." But hey, I'll take it. But
I left you out of that conversation when I posted about it on Instagram. I blamed it on OWN. So just so you know, I figured it was them and not you. Okay. I just want to let that be clear. All right.
Well, the way it works is this, because I never addressed it. I didn't respond to the Shady tweets. I never addressed it, so I'll address it now. The way it works is this: when you have a long season, when you factor in like holiday breaks and all those things, sometimes every episode cannot run continuously, right? So because of that, you have to make an episode to really save some of the newer episodes to last throughout the holidays. Obviously, we have Thanksgiving break, Christmas break is coming up, but we want to make sure that you all had something to satisfy you until the end of the year. So we had to create something, and the Mel and Martell. You know what was so funny about it? I'm like, of all breaks to have this Mel and Martell episode, it was the cliffhanger of when Mel and Martell was about to.
So and first, and let me just say this. We was all watching the episode, and I know it took them a minute, just like it took me. And I was like, no, wait a second. I feel like I'd have seen this before. I have seen it before. Okay.
Can I tell you something? So I stay home on Saturday nights to live tweet with the audience. I went out to dinner that night, child.
Because you knew.
I was like, I don't want none of this workout.
You knew. But speaking of stuff like, just surprises for this season, we got new cast members, Tiffany and Lewis. How did they get cast on the show?
So one thing about Love and Marriage Huntsville is, and I think this is the reason why the show is a huge success, we like to make sure that the audience doesn't feel like, okay, we're getting the same thing every season. So I'm always interested in surprising the audience and making sure that we tell different stories. You get to see different things and different dynamics with the cast. We wanted to bring on a different couple, and we get into this conversation at the reunion, part 1 that airs this Saturday. But one of the things that we all decided collectively was it would be nice to have a couple who doesn't have the same rich history with the original cast, because sometimes it can create a big alliance. Now we're gonna talk about that because I know this about you, this about me. So you know what I mean? Like a lot of that happens. And we wanted to bring in somebody who could challenge the cast and who could just be a breath of fresh air. And we interviewed a lot of couples. The one thing that we all loved about Tiffany and Lewis was, and I'm gonna be very honest with you, I remember being on a flight. I was on a flight to Atlanta. I was leaving Los Angeles, and that flight's like 5 hours. And I was watching all the casting interviews, and baby, I saw Tiffany, and Tiffany casting tape was everything because she had no filter. She was very honest and had this. First of all, she's very beautiful. She's a pretty girl, and she was outspoken, and she said how she felt. And the beauty of Tiffany on the casting tape, she never thought she said anything wrong. Not that she did, but I knew that some of the stuff she was saying, like, "Oh, girl, have you ever said that on camera?" The girls may not understand it. So I loved her honesty. I loved her lack of awareness. And to me, Richie, that's what makes a great reality star. And Lewis was next to her, and he allowed Tiffany to be Tiffany. And he said, "That's my baby. That's how she is. And I love it." And they were newlyweds. So all of those factors came into deciding with Tiffany. And at the end of the day, Tiffany is the one they talk about the most. And I love it.
Okay, so
last but not least, I'm going to say this before you start. As a creator and an executive producer, you never want to cast anybody that no one talks about.
Okay.
Go ahead, Richie.
Okay. But in the trailer for the reunion that is going to be premiering on Saturday night on TV, you say, okay, that the people wanted her fired. Why do you think that is?
One thing, and it's so good because the beauty of me hosting the reunion is because I'm on Twitter. In my position, you would think, because a lot of people think like, "Oh, Carlos, you probably out and about, partying, whatever." I literally stay home for all my shows. I stay home, I watch it live with the audience. I've seen the episode 10 times, but I watch it anyway, and I follow along on what Twitter is saying. So I knew that Twitter had a huge reaction to Tiffany, and a lot of them demanded she to be fired. The reason why they wanted that, because listen, I love my audience and I love the fans. The Love and Marriage Huntsville fans do not like new people at all. They don't want to see nobody but Kimmy, Maurice, Tisha, Marcel, Melody, and Martell, and that's it. They didn't like Sadark when he came on the show. They didn't like Destiny with the whole chicken gate. They don't like new people. And because Tiffany's first introduction was controversial because she brought up someone's child in a conversation. So number one, they don't like new people. Number two, you brought up someone's kid, and they never gave her a chance after that. They were like, "No, we're done." We're done. So listen, as the host, it's my job to make sure that I ask the questions that I know the fans want to know.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, why is it because, and let me just put this in context, you did not host the season 1 reunion. Right. You did not host the Bell Collective reunion. Right. What made you decide I need to host this reunion?
That's a good question. So contrary to popular belief, I don't insert myself in everything. You know, like a lot of people assume like, oh, Carlos Child, you could have gave that seat to somebody else. I don't operate that way. So in full transparency, in my Tiffany voice, you caught that?
or lack of transparency. Okay.
We'll get to that too. But no, real talk. So when Love and Marriage Huntsville season 1 started and we had a reunion, we had a list of people. Egypt Sherrod is somebody who I know personally. We're friends. And I like the fact that Egypt was somebody who did real estate and she was also married. And I felt that she could relate to the couples and vice versa. So she made sense. I never once put myself in it. Same for Bell Collective. So after Egypt did Love and Marriage season 1 reunion, she started doing more stuff for the own network. So when Bell Collective came around, it was like, oh, Egypt, because she does Ready to Love reunion, Put a Ring on a reunion. So when Love and Marriage Huntsville reunion came up again, she wasn't available. And then everybody said, Carlos, do it. Do it. It was never like, let's put a list together. It was like, as a matter of fact, you should do it. And everybody felt that it made the most sense. And we wanted to make it a part of the reunion. So one thing you'll see this Saturday is you will see the cast react to finding out that I'm the host. And when I say to you, Richie, it's the funniest reaction because some of them were not thrilled.
See, and I was going to ask you about that. How do they react to, and maybe you can't answer that, but okay, no, answer this. Can you answer this? Who had the worst reaction?
Do you want me to give it away? Well, I'll say this. So we have the 6 original cast members, right? 2 of them equally had the worst reaction to it. A woman and a man.
Oh, see?
Yes. And you will see it all over their face. And they verbally said it. Like one of them said, oh my gosh. And I was like, should I say you don't want to say? No. I said, why? We got to be honest. And I said, you're supposed to be honest at a reunion. And that's when it hit me. You know what? I'm glad I'm doing this.
That's why you need to do it. Side note, y'all, let us know in the chat who y'all think it was. I got my ideas, but y'all let us know who y'all think it is. Okay.
Now you talked about Saturday.
You talked about people that the audience didn't like. You brought up Sadark, you brought up Destiny. Did they not like LeBerick? Because I need to know this question. Because this is a real. I have had this question since episode 1. Why is it that Destiny is able to be on this show as somewhat of a main character, though she is not pictured in the cast photo, when I'm going to get to that in a second. But why is it that she is able to be on this show? And I don't want her to be fired because I like her. But because I like her and I want to know more of her story, why don't we know anything about her divorce?
Very good question. Again, we discussed that at the reunion. So we do discuss that. What I will say to you is, as the king of reality television, no one gets away with signing on to be on my show and not being authentic. So what I will say that I don't want to spoil, because I want you guys to watch. Sometimes you are prohibited from talking about things. Okay. So I'll leave that to your imagination, but we do get into it. Trust me. And in all fairness to Destiny had no issue addressing everything. But we do get into that. And she went there in terms of why she was unable to talk about things in great detail.
Okay.
So Destiny had no special treatment because they all can get it.
So I just want to bring this up as I ask you about casting and stuff like that. We look at this cast photo, okay? Now I know, and maybe I know the answer now because you kind of alluded to it a little bit. But why isn't everybody pictured on the cast photo? And shout out to Love and Marriage Huntsville Instagram page. But I just wanted to have a visual for you when I ask you this question. Why is not everybody not there?
So look, the show started off with these 6 amazing, beautiful human beings. And because it's 2 answers to that. Number 1, the new couple, Tiffany and Lewis, they did not get featured until the middle of the season. They didn't start off in the first episodes, right? So it didn't make sense for us to create a poster with a new couple that no one knew about because that would raise more weird questions.
Okay.
And number 2 with Destiny, but let me go back. But you see Tiffany and Lewis in the main titles, right?
Right.
Really showcase that they're a part of the show. Same with Destiny. The show is called Love and Marriage. We wanted LeBerick and Destiny. They unfortunately got a divorce. So in terms of Destiny not being on the poster, same deal. You know, when people are watching this show, they think of these 3 couples. So we want to make sure to let the audience know that as we promote the show at the beginning and we do all those great things, that these were the 3 couples you were going to get.
Okay. I wanted to ask you this. This came up quite a bit, I think, a couple of times when I was talking to the audience about having you on. My question to you is, do the other cast members feel any type of way, or do Mel and Martell have any type of say-so into who gets featured and what gets actually what makes the air on the show?
No.
Okay.
No. The hosts don't have any editing control. But you can watch that. I mean, there's things that they talk about that makes them uncomfortable. So they wouldn't even allow some of those things to be seen if they had that right. So no, nobody has creative control over the show or editing power at all. And one thing I will say about the cast, especially the hosts too, they give 100% to the show. And for them, because it's real and what they're giving is real, they want to make sure that it does air. So I will say this about my cast. None of them have ever came to us like, can you take that part out? And trust me, I've been a part of other shows where that was the case. Okay.
I sure do wonder which ones they are.
Can you take that out? I mean, you're not. Yeah, that doesn't happen on Love and Marriage.
Can I ask you a question about Miss Patricia?
People really like Patricia. I love it.
We need next season.
Okay.
Why is she not a part more of this show?
See, but that's the beauty of how we produce this show. We make these small introductions to people. And listen, I'm not saying that I listen to every feedback that comes my way, because if that's the case, Destiny, Tiffany, and Lewis, and everyone, they wouldn't be on the show. So I don't listen to people, right? But right. But when we bring in new people, I like to see the response that they get. And people love Patricia. And one thing about Kimmy, Kimmy was very invested in making sure that she had somebody who really understood her. Because one thing about Kimmy that I do feel a little sympathy for is she is sort of like on an island of her own as it relates to the ladies, right? Because, Melody and Tisha were already friends before Kimmy came into the scene, right?
Yeah.
So Kimmy came in much later, and then Destiny is friends with Melody, and then you got Miss Wanda, who's Tisha's mama. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has somebody, and Kimmy always feels like, I don't have anybody who I can really spill my heart out to. And Patricia was that person. And baby, that scene we talk about at the reunion, we do get into this toothbrush analogy. Do you remember that, Richie?
I do.
I asked the question about what do you mean about someone using someone's toothbrush. So we get into that. But to answer your question, and I saw somebody comment about Stormy. You will see more of them this upcoming season.
Okay. That sounds exciting to me. I know you can't give too much away about this next coming season, but when are you filming?
I announced it at part 3 reunion.
Yeah. Okay. So we gonna get some tea at the end.
Oh, tea, some Kool-Aid, some pickle juice. You get a lot of space at part 3 reunion, baby.
And speaking of part 3, because my spirit tells me this happens in part 3, because I can't see it happening in part 1 or 2, and you ain't got to confirm this. But what I do want to ask is this: in the trailer, we see Melody get up out of her seat and walk outside, and it looks like she gets in a car and speeds off. Now, is that acceptable at a reunion? Because in my mind, and I ain't never been on a reunion set, but when a person leaves the reunion, do they get fined? What happens? How does that work?
You will see part 1 has those moments in there, so you don't have to wait. I'll say this: you don't have to wait till part 3.
Oh, well,
you know,
all right then.
You'll know part 1 and 2-ish.
Okay.
You'll know whether or not Melody left the building.
Okay, or a car left. Okay, we'll just watch and see. Question: how do you determine the seating at a reunion? And then how do you also determine like wardrobe? Is that left up to the cast? I think this could be different for every show. So I just wanted to know what your thoughts were.
Yeah, no. One thing about the Love and Marriage cast is I want them to feel beautiful and I want them to feel comfortable. So we provide a stylist, obviously, but we don't tell them what to wear. We make sure to provide the resources and they pick what they want to wear. And the reason, Richie, why I do that is because you remember going to the prom and you want to feel handsome or beautiful, and it's what makes you feel beautiful and comfortable. So to me, a reunion is like a prom, and I wanted to make sure that my cast felt how they wanted to feel. If I like the dress or not, or the suit or not, it's not up to me. I want them to feel like they best. So we don't have to say what they wear. And in terms of seating arrangements, that is my decision.
Okay. Now, was there a specific rationale to your decision?
You said what?
Was there a specific rationale to your decision for the seating for this season?
There's always a method to my madness. Yeah, nothing is done by accident. I know in my mind how the way I work, I visualize every scene. I visualize every season. Like, again, I can see how the season premiere is going to be. I visually, and I'm not lying to you, I see it. I see how the 42 minutes is going to go. And so that's my process. So at the reunion, I saw myself in the middle, obviously, because I'm the host. But I saw who would be on my left and my right, and I saw who would be here. And the beauty about this reunion, too, is it's a lot of musical chairs. So it's not the same seating for the whole 3 hours. So you'll get to see some rotations.
Okay.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure it felt different. And that's why, and I'm not going to lie to you, this reunion, blow me away. It's good. It's really
you already know we're gonna all be sitting in front of our
really good. I will tell you if it wasn't. Yeah, I would be like, it's okay, it's all right. It's really good because think about it. They had a whole year hiatus. So they had a lot to get off their chest, and we got a lot of new information that's going to surprise you all.
I'm excited about that. Do you think, and I I know I'm not gonna get too much from you with regards to next season, but do you think that we will see Martell and Melody date other people on this show?
Listen, I think for me, I would love to see what life is like post-divorce. And I think the audience would want to see what it looks like. I think the audience would want to see, like, how is Melody on a date? Like, what does that look like? Or how does Martell court a woman? Like, what does that look like? So I definitely think, if it's happening in their real life, we will show it, because I'm all about showing that. But I do think, and it's funny, not funny, but it's interesting because I remember talking to Martell. So when it was officially happening that he was going through a divorce, he did ask me, like, so does that mean I'm off the show? And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Because think about it. When people see other reality shows, when a woman and her husband divorce, you don't see the guy again. He vanishes off.
As if he never existed.
Never existed, right? Well, Martell was like, is that going to happen to me? I said, no, you have just as much of a story as anybody else on the show. Like, Martell, it's your show too. Like, no, we want to see what life is like after divorce. So my thing is, I worked on shows where the husband left and you never saw him again. And I always thought that was weird, because I'm like, the person is still around and still has to co-parent or coexist. So I want to be able to showcase what that life is like for both of them. And I think for the audience too, they want to see it. So they don't want to see them go on a couples trip again, do they?
And I tell you, I do not. They're gonna need to. I'm gonna need them to do a little something different next season, because I swear, if I see them arguing again, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
They're gonna argue. I mean, we're talking about Martell and Melody.
I know, but it just be like sometimes, like, okay. I feel like I was there and I'm tired. I'm Kimmy in that situation. I'm just like, y'all still arguing? Okay. I got some other real quick questions for you, because I got to ask you a couple of other things that the people have been asking about.
I have nothing but time for you, Richie. Go ahead, child.
Okay. Bell Collective, season 2. What's going on?
So you know, the part I hate about my job is I can't announce things until the network does. But at least I'm not saying it ain't happening. Right? I mean, I'll say this. The bells are belling.
Okay, we will.
That's the best I can do. But they look good on Instagram, don't they?
They do. You know what's so funny, and you know.
They look good. I'm ready to do some stuff.
I came prepared for them too. Okay, I came prepared for them too. Trust and believe. I was ready. Today.
Richie, can we talk about this?
Yes.
I get more tweets about Bell Collective than any other show, which is crazy. Like, the Encore was a big show, and I do get asked that, but nothing compares to Bell Collective in terms of when is it coming back? Where is it? What's happening with it? So I just want y'all to know I love y'all. I appreciate it. And I will have an answer for y'all soon.
Okay, because we need to know what's going on with Goddess Lynx and Fair Street and Marie. We need to know all of that. And you spoke about the Encore. Will we get more? That's what we want to know.
You better give me a Jay-Z verse.
Okay. Come on. What are we getting? What are we getting with that? Because, you know, people, that took us by surprise this summer, and we fell in love.
Richie, the Encore set Black Twitter on fire.
Ablaze.
I mean, the Encore was a whole nother beast in terms of, first of all, the show trended every week, top 5. the fact that the group Blueprint had the #1 album of iTunes R&B chart, and now that we're at the end of the year, people are posting like their top songs on Spotify, and Blueprint is in people's top 5. So that show will always be, my little baby. So again, I can't disclose anything, but I do think at the end of the day is what you said, Encore, do we want more? And I think the answer is yes, we do. And you guys should definitely get it.
Okay. Shout out to everybody who is sending in your super chats. I got a couple, a little bit more questions to ask that I got to get through real quick.
Go ahead.
Is there, and I got this yesterday, is there anything similar to a Love and Marriage Huntsville that you're maybe taking to another city? Have you thought about that? Is that coming at any point in time soon? Because it is such a big franchise at this point. I feel like people want to see more of this.
Yeah, no, it is something that I've always thought about. I've always considered. And I do think for me, it's a matter of finding the right city and the right cast to explore. So to be able to branch off into a different city, I think is the smartest thing to do. When you have a franchise like Love and Marriage Huntsville, it only makes sense to venture off into another city. So, it's all about, like I said, finding the right people to represent this big brand. Love and Marriage Huntsville is a huge, huge show. So it's not like we can just haphazardly put out, you know what I mean? So it takes a lot of work to find the right cast, but it is something that is on our radar.
Okay. And then you have a show with it's K Michelle, right?
Yes.
Give us a little bit about that, because whatever you're doing, we on the train.
I appreciate you guys, Richie. No, so the show is called My Killer Body with K Michelle. It's on Lifetime. It debuts in January, a sneak peek, and then I think it rolls out in February. So it's a show where K Michelle sort of helps women and men who have dealt with the unfortunate ramifications of elective surgery, whether it's BBLs or any other elective surgery. Unfortunately, a lot of people who do elective surgery where they're not going to the right doctor because they're choosing to go to someone who's cheaper or in the neighborhood, they have these unfortunate sights that happens to them. So K Michelle has been very open and honest about her issues having elective surgery, and she really wants to help her brothers and sisters in this health crisis that they're having. And it's such a fascinating series that really does detail the dark side of surgery. So it's a very passionate show, and K Michelle is the perfect partner to have in this.
Okay. So we're going to be tuning in for that. Anything else that we need to be on the lookout for from Carlos King, Kingdom Reign, and any other network that you are partnering with right now?
Yes. I mean, look, 2022 is approaching. And I think that's when 95% of your questions will be answered.
2022, y'all. 2022.
2022. But listen, we're always working, we're always creating, and we have great relationship with these networks. OWN is I could not have asked for a better home to have Love and Marriage and Bell Collective and some other stuff that we have cooking up for you guys. So it's going to be good. But no, we're working on a lot of stuff that you are inquiring about. So what is official, I'll come right back here, Richie, and let you know.
We appreciate that, because we definitely gonna have some more questions, and I'm definitely gonna ask everything I got on my mind and they got on their minds as well. Yeah. We appreciate you for stopping by today. Thank you so much. I cannot tell you how much it means to me and to the community. Anything else that we need to know about before we let you go off and continue the good work for 2022?
Listen, Love and Marriage Huntsville 3-part reunion airs this Saturday and every Saturday after that for 3 weeks, so right before the Christmas break. And like I said, it's a great reunion, and you guys will be very surprised with a lot of conversations. But I think everybody will feel satisfied with, you know, closing this chapter of this season and venturing off into a new one. So everybody's there, everybody shows up and shows out.
That's what we want to see. That is exactly what we want to see. Skye Squad, thank you so much for tuning in for this interview. Carlos, again, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We appreciate you and the work that you do. Keep shining, and we will keep following and riding that train with you all the way to the end. So, you know, you got a community that's rocking with you for life. So,
yes, I love you guys. Thank you, Richie. Thank you, everybody. I love you guys, and more to come. I promise. We're just getting started.
2022, y'all. We will catch you guys in the next video. Bye, y'all.